Hey guys, welcome to Perfect Vocals Academy. This is an exclusive tutorial of about vocal effects. So I pulled up this song from this artist I work with from San Francisco. Her name was Izzy. She's got a really awesome voice. She was only 15 years old. So I have this dry right now. This is just no effects. What I want to go over, adjusting like a long reverb setting for like this type of song, like just like a ballad type song, slow song. And we're going to go over adjusting a long reverb setting, playing with delays, adding stereo width on the effects, maybe possibly chorus on the reverb or the delay, and compression on the effects. So let's dive in, okay?
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in?
So yeah, this is a good vocal without any effects, but the effects are really going to bring it to life.
Through the battles and the bruises, the multiple misuses, one deep breath just for myself, but smile forever.
Okay, so I already have this routed. I'm using this reverb. It's actually a free reverb. It's a VST. We got wet, dry, delay, which delay is like a pre-delay. That's like a little bit before, when the vocal starts singing, the reverb kind of staggers a little bit depending on where that is. Sometimes it's useful. Size, that's how big the reverb is. Now for a track like this, I'm doing a very big size. So let's solo up this vocal.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way?
So as you can hear, it really carries out. Now this doesn't work for everything, but since this is like a piano track, it'll really glue it together. So we got,
Will the score, is it worth it to believe in that we
let's play with the
will get
wet.
there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the bruises, the multiple misuses. One day.
Now sometimes it's hard to set the wet in solo, so I'm going to bring back the piano and stuff, because sometimes you can get it right where you think it needs to be without the music, and then you get the music in and you're like, okay, where's the reverb?
Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the bruises, the multiple misuses? One day.
Now that setting's cool, probably for the verse.
You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long. You just go along.
But I mean, as it picks up and gets into the chorus,
But I'm starting to get tired. My fight, and I will not be silenced. I won't go.
yeah, maybe boost that just a little bit, 'cause it's a little hard to hear.
You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way
That way you can really hear that, like after the word wrong, you can hear the tail.
for so long. You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way.
And after the so long,
You just go.
it's a nice touch. So that's cool for dry.
Can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way.
Okay, let's see when we take the dry down.
Can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long. You just go along.
I think dry is more if you're just using it directly on the track. I'm actually using an aux track for the reverb. I like to do things separately, but if you are placing the reverb right on the track, you might be able to mess with that dry. So moving on to the delay.
You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long. You just go along.
So when I increase that, it kind of makes the vocal more dry during the vocal and then just staggers off the reverb.
You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long.
I think in this application, how we're doing this, it's not entirely necessary, so I'm just going to keep it off.
You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long. You just go along.
Okay, so let's go on to size. Now, with this plugin, when you put it like right there,
you can't see that it's wrong.
It's kind of like a room. Like it goes from like this big hall to like a room. So it's kind of touchy. So
you can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long. You just go along.
So yeah, that's a nice setting. You got low cut. So the low cut can be cool because a lot of times with vocals, you know, having a bunch of low end in the reverb can make it really muddy. It can really just muddy up the whole thing. So you can cut that out a little bit, but you don't want to cut too much because there's a warmth. There's a warmth in the reverb that like you want, and if you don't have it, it's just gonna kind of be like a really brittle reverb.
You can't see that it's wrong.
See if I bring it way up.
This way for so long. You just go along.
I mean, it's okay, but, and you know, maybe you would cut that much if it was like had a little bit more in the production. This is just like a piano and some strings, so we can afford to have, you know, some warmth in there and some low end.
You can't see that it's wrong.
It actually kind of fills it out, makes it bigger.
You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long.
Now, high cut, I definitely love this feature because the S's and all that brightness in the vocal doesn't sound the greatest with reverb. So let's experiment with this.
So long, you just go along. But I'm starting to get tired of holding in.
Actually, it doesn't sound that bad in this particular situation. Maybe it's because the vocal was just well processed and well recorded, but I still go for a little bit of a darker reverb, so let's play with it.
You just go along. But I'm starting to get tired of.
Cool, let's hear this with the mix here. Make sure we're adjusting things right.
So long, you just go along. But I'm starting to get tired of holding in my fire. And I will not be silenced.
I think it could be a little more wet, so let's bring up this wetness.
See that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long.
Bring up the size a little bit. These are your two magic knobs for making it more wet. It's the wet and the size.
You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long. You just go along.
Okay, good. Let's move on to some delays, okay? So I'm going to bring out Echo Boy, made by Sound Toys. I usually, for a starting point, like to start at about like a quarter note. And feedback, I always like to bring up a little bit. I think it's weird to just have like one little repeat. So I like it to repeat a couple times. Feedback. Since I have this on a separate channel, we can just turn the mix all the way up. Again, this mix knob is more if you were to place the delay right on the vocal as a plugin, like as part of the inserts. But since I have the delay on a aux track separate, we'll do that. So depending on the song, sometimes we need to automate the delay. But first, I'm going to try to make it work to where it's just the delay is going the whole time, just like the reverb. It's just going. okay? Okay, so we're sending some signal from the vocal to the delay. Let's see what this sounds like.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the
Okay, it doesn't sound right because you have to go here and click that MIDI thing, and then now it's synced with the tempo of the song.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way?
All right, let's experiment. So let's try the 8th note.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the bruises?
So too much, obviously. So sometimes I like to start with the high cut and see if we do a brutal high cut.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in?
I don't like the 8th note. Let's go to the 4th.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday?
Too much low end, so let's cut out the low end. We're trying to make this very, very subtle for a track like this. You know, sometimes delay, you don't even need it. I'm just playing with it to see if it helps the track.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles?
Let's try turning it down.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way?
Okay, let's try adding some effects on that delay. So let's try a chorus effect. And we're inserting this right after the delay.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the bruises, the multiple misuses? One deep breath just for myself, but smile for everyone else.
Kind of makes a real trippy effect. I love chorus, and especially on delays. It can really like just make the effects really abstract and cool.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in?
So I just got it loud right now just to hear it. We're not going to have it that loud.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in?
Okay, so in a case like this, let's automate. I think it's better. Rule of thumb is like you can kind of get away with not automating the delay when there's like a lot going on in the track. So like a hip hop track or a full production pop track or something. If the beat's real heavy and there's stuff going on, then you don't have to usually automate. But it's too much delay. It's too, like, we don't want to repeat everything. So I'm going to automate this send. So mute the send that goes to the delay. Now we can go over here to that send. Go to mute. Now we're going to unmute certain things that we want to be delayed. So
will the score ever be even?
So let's just do the word even. So highlight over even, then unmute the send.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it?
Cool. Now it just repeats even. Okay. So now we can turn down the delay now.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in? To believe in?
Just do believe in.
Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday?
Someday.
We will get there someday and not have to fight up.
Now it's way more subtle like that. Now it's still sticking out too much for a track like this. It's this, it's tough to get delay to work in this sort of setting, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to make it happen. So I'm going to add that same reverb directly on the track after the chorus. We don't want the size too crazy. Let's bring it back just a little bit. High cut some, low cut a little bit. These are just kind of like starting settings. Okay, we're going to jack up the wet because that's what's going to push it back. So,
will the score ever be even? Is it worth?
Gonna make it more wet.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way? Fight our way. To fight our way through the battle.
See, now it's real lush.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not?
See, that's really cool now. So, you know, you can continue to go through the track.
And the bruises.
Just, you know, obviously simple.
And the bruises, the multiple misuses. One deep breath just for myself, but smile for everyone else. You can't see that it's wrong. It's been this.
Do big words like this.
See that it's wrong. It's been this way for so long. This way for so long. You just go.
See, so obviously that adds a difference. So it blends really nice with the reverb. We want to get the reverb and the delay to kind of be, you know, coexisting, you know. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's try to put some stereo widening on these delays and reverbs. So I'll start with the reverb.
Will the score ever be?
I use, there's a couple different plugins you can use. I use the Side Widener by Joey Sturgis Plugins. There's also the S1 Imager by Waves that I've used before. There's the Air Stereo Width that I've used before. Since more of you probably have the Air, because it comes with Pro Tools, I'll just bust this out. So,
will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the bruises, the multiple misuses?
all right. So if you're listening in headphones, you may, you know, notice a difference. Speakers, you definitely should notice a difference. But this is basically pushing out the reverbs just wider. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it makes a huge difference. So we're going to do that.
Will the score ever be even?
Here's without.
Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday?
Just kind of opens it up a little bit. It's subtle, but, you know, with mixing, it's like when you do a bunch of little subtle moves, it adds to the big picture of being, you know, awesome. So,
will the score?
All right, let's put this same plugin on the delay.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the bruises?
Here's without.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it?
It's like it's cool and it works, but this just gives more space for the main vocal.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the bruises?
Could turn down the delay a little bit. It may have gotten a little bit louder with the stereo width. Sometimes when things are pushed out to the side, they get a little louder.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way through the battles and the bruises, the multiple misuses?
Just bring it down.
One deep breath just for myself, but smile for everyone else. You can't see that it's wrong.
lastly, with this track, I want to go over compression on the effects. So right now they're being grouped to the same mix bus is the main vocals. So the vocals, the dry vocals, and the effects are all being combined into one mix bus, and I'm compressing on there. So that's one way to do it. I think it's a great way to do it. If you don't go through a mix bus and everything's just, separate, you can insert an actual compressor. I'll just show you. I like to use a very subtle compressor. So I bring out the Waves R compressor. Love this compressor. Do a very low ratio, 2:1. You can honestly just keep the attack kind of medium like that. And then just crank down this threshold.
Is it worth it to believe in that we will get there someday and not have to fight our way?
Now we're compressing the reverb by about 2 or 3 dBs, and then we add it back here. Here's without.
Will the score ever be even? Is it worth it to believe in?
Here's with.
That we will get there someday and not have to fight.
Subtle, we do these subtle moves to add up, like I said. So that's about it for this tutorial. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I will respond. John@perfectvocalsacademy.com, and I will answer any questions you have.